Welcome to Rise Over Run. This is Piers Dormeyer. Today we're going to Marco Island to see Dave DeRogatis with DERO Roofing. I've known Dave for years and years and years and years. Long career both in general contracting, manufacturing, product development, design. Sold a company or two. All in all, I would call you maybe a serial entrepreneur. So it was really exciting to kind of be able to connect and check in, see what you're doing these days. So with that, give us a little bit. Where are you? What are you doing? You're a Jersey guy who ended up in Marco Island with probably all your closest friends and neighbors are there anyway.
They're not allowed here right now. So yeah. Thanks, Piers. Yeah, we did. I had a good long relationship together and some good times, and look forward to many more. Yeah, I'm down here in Marco Island, Florida, Southwest Florida, serving Marco and Naples with my own startup business, DERO Roofing. We do installations for commercial, residential, repairs, pretty much the entire gamut. I am from New Jersey. I did relocate to North Carolina for about 7 or 8 years, working for a multi-billion-dollar building products manufacturer, and I guess we'll get into that in a little bit. But due to some unforeseen events, life takes you where it does, and wound up here where I wanted to be.
So Jersey, you folks from originally from New Jersey always love to talk about. No, I'm from the nice part of New Jersey, right? So there's the nice part, and then there's the other part. So which part are you from?
I'm from the nice part. As we like to say, what exit? And that determines if you're in the nice part, if you're in the not so nice part. And that could refer to personalities. It could refer to lifestyle. So I grew up down at exit 83, which is the Jersey Shore. So grew up, boardwalk, beaches, just fantastic place to grow up. As you get into the higher exit numbers, the 100s, the 120s, the 130s, you start getting into the counties that are very closely related to New York, and it's a completely different lifestyle. There's a bridge that takes you over to those exits called the Raritan Bridge. And if you live in New Jersey and you want less stress-free life, you stay south of that bridge as much as you possibly can. The minute you go over, it just turns to New York, Staten Islandish. So depends what you like. Speaking
about what you like, how much do you love Jon Bon Jovi? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, are you like a 12, 15?
No, I'm not a stalker.
But you do know his birthday by heart.
I don't know his birthday by heart. I know a lot of good riffs from Sambora. It's a whole nother topic about Bon Jovi. I met him when I was like 16 at Seaside Heights when he filmed his second MTV video. And so from there, it was just someone I was interested in following musically. He's a good person too, opened up a lot of the soul food kitchens to give back to the community. And I always say in music, which is one of my inspirations, is what do these guys do with their money, and are they one-hit wonders? Are they one-year wonders? And you look at the true musicians that have been around for decades, and can they adapt with the times and things like that? And he's been one, he's been around since the 80s, the early 80s. And so he's still going, just put out his Limitless song. And adapting to the times and the people too. So, and a stand-up guy, never see him in the news and, getting in trouble and things like that.
I love how I took an opportunity to clown on you with Bon Jovi, and then you spun it around, hit me with this philanthropy angle, and then made me look like the asshole in the process, which is good. It was just like, it was a podcast.
It was unintentional.
It was outstanding. It was outstanding. Yeah. So you're living on a prayer. You move.
Yeah. Literally.
It's going to be a whole bunch of those, by the way.
We're living on a prayer.
It's your life, right? So
it is my life.
Sorry,
Keep them going. Keep them
I was
going.
going to be going all day. Yeah. So New Jersey, you start at the beginning. So New Jersey, how did you get into the construction business and the roofing? Weren't you more Jersey? Weren't you a Bradco guy back in the day?
Yeah. Actually, my early career, I've always been tinkering with mechanical things, erector sets when I was young, and working with my grandfather as much as I can remember when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, maybe. At an early age, got into construction, building decks. All throughout my high school years, I was a framer and roofer. Framed, 2, 3-story houses, after school weekends. Just a work warrior during my high school years. And I applied things like geometry. I took blueprint reading classes. And I was, 17 years old when the bell rang at 1:40, I was going on the job site and reading blueprints and cutting hips and rafters and valleys and understanding that aspect of building. And it really intrigued me.
Who pushed you into that? Because the average 17-year-old isn't reading blueprints.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a good question. I still haven't figured that out. My dad's an attorney. My brother and my 2 sisters both have minimum bachelor degrees or higher. I chose the School of Dave DeRogatis School of Hard Knocks to go for my college education. And I don't know. I don't know who pushed me. I think it was just how I'm programmed.
Cool. So you're building houses at 17. Hopefully they're still standing. If I was building houses at 17, they would not be standing. Those houses wouldn't have been standing at 18 when I was 18. I mean, so you go from that early age in construction. Where do you go from there?
So my folks bought a condo in Marco Island when I was about 17. I think maybe even earlier. We've been coming here to one of my dad's good friends' condos, and you go through the winters as a framer and a roofer up in New Jersey, and I was probably maybe 20 at the time, and I remember I was straddling a ridge 3 stories up on this multi-million-dollar house, and it was sometime in January or February. You could see the ocean, so you can imagine the environment. Wind was whipping. I had my Carhartts on, fingers cut out of my gloves, reach in to grab some nails. They're frozen, and wind whipping in my face. The crane's hoisting up a hip rafter. I remember it clear as day, and I said, "This is it." I came down off the ladder that day, and I walked up to my boss. I said, "I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice." He said, "What?" I said, "Yeah, I'm moving to Marco Island, Florida." I went home. I told my dad. I asked him, but kind of told him and said, "Hey, I'm moving to the condo for a little bit and get myself started down there, and try to figure things out." So I've always had a desire to be here, and an ambition to get here.
So this is your second time moving to Marco Island.
Yeah, maybe third. First time lasted 3 months. Summer came around, wound up back at the Jersey Shore. I don't know what pulled me there, but maybe the weather and the good times, if anyone knows the Jersey Shore in the summertime. And then before winter came back, I did come back to Marco, and I started working construction down here.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being there as a really young man, right? I mean, you're kind of, unless you're into, older chicks, dudes, whatever. And when I say older, like 50, 55-year gaps, which that's one way to retire. Like I'll give you that. Sure.
Yeah.
So you go, we connect way back when, early 2000s, you designed, invented, founded railways, right? With help me. No, it's you. And then Elk.
Yeah. So
fill in the blanks, Dave. I can't remember.
That kind of fast forwarded, I wound up back in New Jersey. I lasted, probably about 6 years in Marco, to the points that you mentioned, Piers. Marco wasn't a city then. It was very quiet. For, a young man to be here and give up, weekends, closing at 8 o'clock at night or 8:30. There's nowhere to go unless you're driving to Fort Myers or something. And so work always, I guess, drove me. But wound up back in New Jersey for whatever reasons. I spent probably spent about 6 or 7 years at Home Depot. And best experience in my whole career working for Home Depot. Taught me everything about customer service. Back in that day, that's what it was all about. There was no pointing fingers. Hey, go over there to that. It's down in aisle 21, or you walked every customer there. They paid people what they were worth. There was electricians, there were plumbers. This is back in the 80s and 90s when building went upside down, and plumbers and licensed electricians and tradesmen didn't have jobs in the field, and Home Depot hired them, paying them $20-$25 an hour back then, so they could teach someone how to solder, teach someone how to wire an outlet. And those were the good days, and you took care of customers. You didn't worry about tasks, down stocking and things like that. I learned a lot there. I worked my way up to a district manager of operations at a young age, and in my spare time, invented a product. And it was a railing system that I started that business up and had it for about 2 or 3 years. I left Home Depot and wound up being approached by Elk Corporation, Elk Roofing, the second largest multi-billion-dollar roofing manufacturer in North America. And they made me an offer to buy my entire company and join the organization. And that's when I made the transition really from, I guess Home Depot was more corporate, but I was still doing construction on the side at Depot and things like that. So as you start, to grow a family and things, you look for more secure and stable environments. And that's the path I was on. Ultimately, probably not the path I was meant to be on. Yeah,
that railing system, that co-extruded railing, was really beautiful product. And I'm not just saying that because you're on here, because I wouldn't compliment you, not that way. But no, it was a gorgeous product. Whatever happened to that line?
Still on the market today.
Yeah.
Wound up with GAF when they opened up their decking and railing system, and then they sold to I guess Correct Deck wound up buying it back, and I think they're bought out by Barrett Outdoor, and Railway's railing system's still on the market after 20-something years now. So it makes me feel good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, very cool.
But I spent many years at Elk. Probably that was the first exposure to roofing manufacturing that I was in. As you know, we got acquired by GAF, and then spent several years there. Same roofing business, different culture. And then I followed our former CEO from Elk, Tom Carroll, who became the CEO of Bradco Supply in Avenel, New Jersey, and wound up spending a couple years at Bradco in New Jersey. So I left manufacturing, got into roofing distribution.
That's the other New Jersey. High exit numbers.
It was over the bridge. It was 100. I questioned, do I even take the job because of that? But Tom, one of the best CEOs that I've worked for. So followed him to Bradco, and then we got acquired by ABC. So 2 acquisitions in experience within 5 or 7 years, both on the wrong side of the acquisition.
Yeah, no doubt. If you want to get acquired, hire Dave. He'll make it happen for you. Yeah, for sure. So then you go from there and start inventing roofing products.
Yeah, I had a little stint in there that I patented one more decking product and licensed it. We can get into that maybe as a war story, but licensed that, and then I did a little side project with Tom Carroll and a couple guys from Elk, and we started a company taking recycled plastics and making building products from them, roofing, synthetic roofing like the Da Vinci product, etc. And we sold that to Plygem, one of the largest building products, windows and siding. They manufactured everything but roofing and decking. And we had developed a roofing and decking product via Tom Carroll and group. And Plygym brought me on board to run that what it was is R&D development at first, and then turned into commercialization. So I did that for the past 7 years, and then Plygym got acquired. So that was my third. That was my 3 times a charm acquisition, and we were bought out. Probably another really great CEO, Gary Robinette, that I worked for, a fantastic leader, visionary, but most of the executive team was let go, and on the wrong side of that table as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you and I talked about coming on board and talking, having conversation. One of the things that occurred to me, just knowing a little bit about the trajectory of your career, is you've been in a lot of those situations where it's been like, hey, there goes the rug out from under you. Really nothing you could have done to change the outcome. It's just the decision was made levels above you, and you had to overcome and adapt. And I think a lot of people are in that same situation right now, maybe for a different reason, be it a downsizing or furloughed because of the current COVID environment and whatever. But how do you bounce back from that? How do you kind of find your center, refocus, and figure out where you're going to go next? I think a lot of folks really have a struggle with, where do I go from here? Especially if you have a family and you've got, the commensurate number of bills and other responsibilities that you have to take care of.
Yeah, I don't know that many people agree with my answer response to this. First, I think you have to know who you are and where your place is in the chain. Do you have any entrepreneur skills or abilities? I think everyone probably does. Are you willing to exploit them and take those risks? And you're probably going to fail at times, and are you afraid of those things? Or are you a soldier? Are you just going to follow suit and you're going to go from job to job to job to job? And so when events happen, again, I've been through 3 acquisitions, and I like to say I'm 52 now, so I've learned quite a bit through the corporate side of things.
And you're the youngest person in Marco Island, by the way. Congratulations on that. There might be somebody staying at the Marriott, but doesn't pay property taxes there.
Yeah, they're wanted dead or alive, right? So
oh damn, you beat me to it. Oh man.
So I think you want to read your environment, understand who you are, where you are in that chain. If you're in the position where I think an acquisition is happening, it happens. I think the first thing you want to do, with an event like that is know where you are, what side of the acquisition are you on, and are you protected? Are you in a big business unit that is going to be left alone? Are you exposed in some other area of the organization? Small profit center, not profit center, things like that, and have a plan. Have a plan. No one's looking out for you other than yourself. If you think there is, then that person may go away quickly due to an acquisition. I mean, acquisition equals synergies. Synergies equal reduction in SG&A, and those are people. And lots of good people get let go because it's a numbers thing. And private equity are looking at the numbers, not the people. And so my only advice is look out for yourself, take control, and take chances. Don't be afraid to take chances. You have one life, live it. And unless that's what you're meant to do, is just to go from job to job. Maybe there is one job that you'll stay at for 40 years and retire or whatever it is, and that's great. I said early on, that wasn't my path, and I'm exactly where I need to be right now, where I'm supposed to be. So starting my business, not working for a big corporation, or any corporation for that matter. My drive is to never put myself back in that situation. Never have someone else control my future, my destiny. Never, I'm going to walk in one day and they're shutting my lights off. And then what about your family, your obligations, all the above, your kids, your food, I mean, everything that goes along with it. So, I said not everyone's going to agree with that, but that's just my own personal view.
So now we're caught up on DERO Roofing. So you're in Marco Island. You came full circle from 17. Now you're back to now you've got your roofing company.
Yeah.
What are you? What's the plan? What's the inspiration? What's next?
I'm state certified, licensed roofing contractor for both commercial and residential. I've been in business for about a year and a half now. Doing well. There's a lot of still roofs that need to be replaced from Irma. Jobs that have been delayed or waited, whatever it's been. So I missed the storm. We are supposed to have an overactive hurricane season. I don't hope for that or wish for that for anybody, but if it does happen, I'm here. I'm the only licensed roofing contractor who lives on Marco Island. And so I'm their neighborhood roofing contractor. I'm here. They run into me in restaurants and Publix and things like that. And so that's what makes me different. The other piece is I've always been a product guy, and I've looked for the best products, innovative products that we offer. One is on our commercial side, which is a fantastic product that no one's offering down here. It's a seamless flat roofing system that we manufacture on site. So I buy direct, and I like the change in the model. I have no distribution involved. There's no place for them in it because I'm a certified contractor, applicator with this company. They ship it to me direct. Very little labor. I don't need cranes. There's no products going to the landfill. It's 50% lower cost. There's no disruption to it. But the big selling points are it's seamless. Think about it. Seamless flat roofing. Hey, that makes sense. It's not permeable, right? So it can't leak. It's basically like a rubber roof product, and it turns your flat roof into basically a swimming pool liner, and we manufacture it on site. So we've done about 6 or 7 large condos, office buildings, retail locations on the island in Naples. We're just getting started with that. It takes an investment to do that for specialized equipment, applicators, things like that. And so that was one of the things I did to differentiate myself from everybody else.
Yeah, this is just going back to even the composite stuff that you were working on, a couple of years ago. I mean, you were doing that for a little while. Do you find yourself kind of being drawn to some of the more specialty products and applications? I'm sure you have to do a shingle job, pay the bills, and those need to be done as well. But do you find yourself kind of getting into the more difficult, complex, more interesting applications types of things?
So depends which segment you're talking about. On the commercial side, I really try to push the new smarter flat roofing is what I call it, seamless. Mm-hmm. I mean, no one's installing gutters with seams anymore, mm-hmm. right? Because gutters with seams leaks. And so why put modified roll roofing up or TPO, hundreds of pieces and thousands of feet of seams and fasteners. It's like putting a big giant jigsaw puzzle on your roof with all failure points. And so seamless is the way of the future. We still do traditional applications, both on commercial and residential. We'll install a modified roof, we'll tear it off, we'll do that. We'll do TPO, single ply, things like that. But I'll push the seamless first for all the obvious reasons, the benefits, the cost savings. Hey, it's the only product guaranteed not to leak and can hold ponding water indefinitely. And flat roofs, obviously they're flat, so they hold water. So that's a great product. On the residential side, Yeah, we're tearing off re-roofs. We're doing tile. We're doing metal, standing seam. We're doing shingle, the bread and butter, and that'll be something we continue to do. There is a product, just my nature to work on stuff in my sleep and spare time. I partnered up with a good friend of mine that I met during my Plygem days. Really smart guy, PhD, and we're working on a product that is an unbreakable concrete tile. Think about it. There's a market for it, obviously. Insurance is going to love it. The big guys aren't going to like it. My strategy is we're going to have a small scale manufacturing plant here in Southwest Florida. We're going to get Miami-Dade testing and Florida product approvals for it. We're going to make it, but we're only going to sell it to ourselves, DERO Roofing. And DERO Roofing is going to be the only company who can install an unbreakable concrete barrel or flat roofing tile. And the reason for that is I've learned so much along the way from manufacturing, the distribution, and where those value adds are. Distribution's mainly a logistical arm. So I get to control that market and that entire channel by doing it that way. Can I get to scale that way? Probably not, but I'm really looking at people versus profits to start with.
So I was trying to think where I was going to get the next Bon Jovi reference is going to come in, and that Wanted Dead or Alive just came to mind. You're going to meet a couple more people from New Jersey that are going to be coming down, and they're not going to be your homeboys, but
yeah,
something like that could be pretty disruptive, I think, to in the market for sure.
Yeah, that's what we're looking to do. So that's years away, but it's part of my overall strategy. Again, not to just come down here and be another roofer.
Yeah. Well, hey, nothing wrong with being another roofer either. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate it. Where do you get your, I mean, obviously you're a guy who's always thinking of new things and reading and getting your inspirations. What do you listen to? What are you reading right now that, kind of keeps you, keeps the pipes open,
Yeah.
sparks flying?
So music helps me do that. Obviously, you know it all too well with your Les Paul in the back, and I got my Strat over my left shoulder here. All kinds of music, mainly alternative rock, keep the blood flowing. Find it hard to find time to play lately, so that makes it challenging. Find it hard to, and I've never been programmed to grab a book, sit down and read it. I don't sit much, so I just can't sit still. The reading that I do is mainly around research, looking into things that, whether it's an idea or how to further develop something or create a system or a solution, what's out there, what's been done, what type of prior art is out there, because you can learn a lot from that as well. People have experienced things, and so that's time's limited lately, especially with a startup business, wearing many hats. So my goal right now is to get the business to another level where I can have some people helping me do some things, in more functional areas of the business.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, best of luck as you start to, work through the next big thing for us. All right, disasters. Give me one. Give me something that exploded.
Oh, wow. So I talked about after Bradco was acquired by ABC, I had been developing a decking product that I patented. It was very innovative. It was a deck board that offered two colors, one on one side, one on the other, and it limited your SKUs. So distribution, dealers, lumber yards, independents only had to carry one product to carry two colors. No one ever looked at the underside of the deck. It didn't matter what color was under there. And so I worked really hard at developing that product and finding a manufacturer to make that for us. I had a customer who wanted that product, a multi-million-dollar distributor. And we were the president at the time. I was very good friends with. We took our daughters to Taylor Swift concerts and did different things, and I knew him for many years, and he wanted this product. And so I found a manufacturer who happened to be a Taiwanese company. And everything was really good when we were signing the papers and things along that nature. And things started to go south when my royalty checks stopped coming in. And, I call it the lover's triangle. You never want to put the two parties together if you can't do so, because they spent that first year trying to figure out, well, how do we get rid of Dave and his holding company? How do we stop paying that 3% royalty? And they were adamant about it, to the point where they changed just a tick on the embossing pattern to get around the license agreement. And it just goes to show you, money and greed will cause people to do just unethical things. It was very unethical. So my learning is, I went into that probably as a sheep. I came out knowing that, there's wolves and sheep in this world, and then there's wolves in sheep clothing. And I sat down with both of those types of individuals at that table that claimed to be very honorable. And it was a terrible experience, but it was a great learning experience. And so my advice is, if you're sitting down at a table like that and you have something of value that people want, which was both of those parties wanted, the manufacturer wanted to make it and sell tens of millions of dollars. We're not talking anything insignificant. And the customer had a base to sell it. We're talking, $20-30 million in product. And to forget where you came from, forget who brought you to the dance, is something I learned. And so now I would sit down at that table very differently, figuring out, how are these guys trying to screw me? Because that's what they wanted. That's ultimately what they wanted to do, was get rid of the third party, right? And so I would say, I probably would have read that environment very differently. I don't know who the driving force still was between those parties. But I would say the Taiwanese were very, very unethical in that dealing. And they're a $50 billion company here worldwide. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Unwilling to pay pennies.
Yeah. That advice comes to mind, that don't look for deals with accountants, lawyers, or plastic surgeons. Protect yourself. You can't rely on the charity of others, right? Or the people above them. So
yeah. And you're not going to sue. You're not going to go, you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to go sue these big companies. That's another bit of advice. You're going into a big company, you've got no leverage, because they literally will take it from you and can take it from you, and you don't have the pockets, you don't have the wherewithal. So small startup guys, like myself and like my partners that were involved with that, what are you going to do? We got eaten alive. We were sheep eaten by wolves, and wolves in sheep clothing. And it's a good learning experience. So
yeah,
that's what life brings you. So
sure.
There's my war story.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, just don't, when you start building your tile plants, man, I guess you know what to look out for.
I've already had that conversation.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right, though.
Well, thanks for sharing that. That's sometimes the best learnings come out of those experiences, no matter how painful they are. It's like,
No, you're absolutely right.
Well, thanks for making the time, man. Thanks for coming on. Anything you want to plug before we shut this bad boy down?
I'll plug DERO Roofing in Southwest Florida, commercial and residential. I am an owner-operator, so I'm on these job sites too. We're still small enough to be able to do that. And great resources like yourself and Eagleview support me on my residential side and commercial, make my life easy. especially for a startup. Not out there measuring things. And so I plugged the Eagle View, and still struggling with some of the suppliers that are adding value in that chain to me. So no plugs on the product side just yet.
Oof, harsh. Good. Well, thanks for coming in. Best of luck. If anybody is looking for the only roofer in Marco Island, the last one died. I'm going to stop with Marco Island little jokes, but
not even ending on a Bon Jovi. Not even ending on a Bon Jovi song.
I'm literally only know like 4 Bon Jovi songs. I'm sorry, I'm not from Jersey. But I think I hit 3 or 4 of them, and then you threw one in there too. So, you can go back to your Bon Jovi shrine behind those closet doors over there, and burn something for them. Call it a successful Wednesday. Anyhow, thanks again for coming on board. To everybody listening, any comments, ideas for shows, want to be on the show, reach out to Piers at riseoverrunpodcast.com. Look at this, I don't even know my own email address. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks.